Hare Krishna, everybody. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. We'll go right into it without a prologue today, a little late. We begin by chanting, reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam Mahima Stotram, as we always do, because this glorification of the Bhagavatam is most beautiful and deep and enriching, by Sanatana Goswami. And it goes like this. Sarva Shastrabdi Piyusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabho Kalidvandodita Ditya Sri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshakshadayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Krishna Shri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madhikabando Matsangin Madguro Man Mahadana Man Nistadagamad Bhagya Mad Anandanamostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu sadutadayin atini chochata kada hanamunchakada chinmam premna rit kantayospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this is the end of the 11th Canto. And the title of the chapter 31 is The Disappearance of Lord Sri Krishna. So one may wonder why we should read this. I don't want to hear about Krishna departing, the disappearance of Sri Krishna. But still, it's here in the Bhagavatam, and therefore it should be read. And even though it may give us pain to hear about Krishna leaving the world, this is not material pain. Sometimes materialistic philosophers will question, if Krishna is so loving and so absolute, why he left the gopis and never came back. Of course he did come back. It's there in Shastra in many places. But still it appears that they spent most of the rest of their life crying and in great distress. But the answer that Krishna gave them and everyone else is that he did so to increase their affection for him. So this science of spiritual life depends on us developing a deep sense, a deep feeling of separation from Krishna. And especially while we read the Bhagavatam, we associate with Krishna because it's the literary incarnation of God. So then the same class of philosophers may question why there has to be a chapter about the disappearance of Krishna. Is the disappearance of the outer dynasty enough? He's one of them, so why make a whole new chapter, discussing the disappearance of Krishna? So this is the point. The point is, we need to feel separation from Krishna, and such descriptions help us to do just that. Chapter 31, the disappearance of Lord Sri Krishna. This chapter describes the return of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to his own abode, along with all the others. Upon learning from Dwaraka that Lord Sri Krishna had returned to his abode, Vasudeva and all the others remaining in Dwaraka became very much agitated by lamentation and went out from the city to find him. All the demigods who, in pursuance of the desire of Lord Krishna, had taken birth in the Yadu dynasty to render assistance in his pastimes, followed Lord Krishna and returned to their respective abodes. The Lord's activities of creating a life for himself and then dismantling it are simply tricks of Maya, like an actor's performance. Actually, he creates the entire universe, and then he enters within it as the Supersoul. In the end, he again winds up the entire universe within himself, and remaining in his private glory, desists from external pastimes. Although overcome by feelings of separation from Krishna, Arjuna was nevertheless able to pacify himself by remembering all the various instructions given to him by the Lord. Arjuna then carried out the rituals of offering pinda and so on for his dead relatives. At that time the ocean swallowed up all of Dwarkapuri except for the Lord's own residence. Arjuna took the remaining members of the Yadu dynasty to Indraprastha, where he installed Vajra upon the throne. Hearing of these events, the Pandavas, led by Yudhishthir, placed Parikshit upon their throne and left for the great journey. Text 1. Shukadeva Goswami said, "Then Lord Brahma arrived at Prabhas, along with Lord Shiva and his consort, the sages, the Prajapatis, and all the demigods, headed by Indra." Text 2 and 3. The forefathers, Siddhas, Gandharvas, Vidyadharas, and great serpents also came along with the Charanas, Yakshas, Rakshasas, Kinnaras, Apsaras, and relatives of Garuda, greatly eager to witness the departure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As they were coming, all these personalities variously chanted and glorified the birth and activities of Lord Shauri, Krishna. 4. O King, crowding the sky with their many airplanes, they showered down flowers with great devotion. Text 5. Seeing before Lord Brahma, seeing before him Brahma, the grandfather of the universe, along with the other demigods, who are all his personal and powerful expansions, the Almighty Lord closed his lotus eyes, fixing his mind within himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, Lord Krishna had previously answered the prayers of Lord Brahma and the other demigods who had requested the Lord to descend within this universe for the protection of his servants, the demigods. Now the demigods arrived before the Lord, each one desiring to take the Lord to his own planet, To avoid these innumerable social obligations, the Lord closed his eyes as if absorbed in samadhi. Srila Jiva Goswami adds that Lord Krishna closed his eyes to instruct the yogis how to leave this mortal world without attachment to one's mystic opulences. All the demigods, including Brahma, are mystic expansions of Lord Krishna, and yet the Lord closed his eyes to emphasize that one should fix one's mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead while departing from this world. Text 6. Without employing the mystic agyeyi, meditation to burn up his transcendental body, which is the all-attractive resting place of all the worlds, and the object of all contemplation and meditation, Lord Krishna entered into his abode, his own abode. Purport. A yogi, empowered to select the moment of leaving his body, can cause it to burst into flames by engaging in the yogic meditation called agyeyi, and thus he passes into his next life. The demigods similarly employ this mystic fire when being transferred to the spiritual world. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead is completely different from conditioned souls like yogis and demigods, since the Lord's eternal spiritual body is the source of all existence, as indicated here by the words Lokabhiramang Swatanum. Lord Krishna's body is the source of pleasure for the entire universe. The word Dharana Dhyana Mangalam indicates that those trying for spiritual elevation through meditation and yoga achieve all auspiciousness through meditation on the Lord's body. Since yogis are liberated simply by thinking of Lord Krishna's body, that body is certainly not material and therefore not subject to burning by mundane mystic fire or any other type of fire. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur reminds us of Lord Krishna's statement in the 11th Canto, chapter 14, verse 37. Vani madhye smarad rupam mamaitad dhyana mangalam. Within the fire, one should meditate upon my form, which is the auspicious object of all meditation. Since Lord Krishna's transcendental form is present within fire as the maintaining principle, how can fire affect that form? Thus, although the Lord appeared to enter the mystic yoga trance, the word agadvi, adagadvi indicates that the Lord, since his body is purely spiritual, bypassed the formality of burning and directly entered his own abode in the spiritual sky. This point has been elaborately explained by Srila Jiva Goswami in his commentary to this verse. Text 7. As soon as Lord Sri Krishna left the earth, truth, religion, faithfulness, glory, and beauty immediately followed him. Kettle drums resounded in the heavens, and flowers showered from the sky. Purport. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, all the demigods were jubilant because each one thought Lord Krishna was coming to his own planet. Text 8. Most of the demigods and other higher beings led by Brahma could not see Lord Krishna as he was entering his own abode, since he did not reveal his movements. But some of them did catch sight of him, and they were extremely amazed. Just as ordinary men cannot ascertain the path of a lightning bolt as it leaves a cloud, the demigods could not trace out the movements of Lord Krishna as he returned to his abode. Purport. The sudden movements of a lightning bolt are seen by the demigods, but not by human beings. Similarly, the sudden departure of Lord Krishna could be understood by the Lord's intimate associates in the spiritual sky, but not by the demigods. Text 10. A few of the demigods, however, notably Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, could ascertain how the Lord's mystic power was working, and thus they became astonished. All the demigods praised the Lord's mystic power and then returned to their own planets. Purport. Although the demigods are virtually omniscient within this universe, they could not understand the movements of Lord Krishna's mystic potency. Thus, they were astonished. Text 11. My dear King, you should understand that the Supreme Lord's appearance and disappearance, which resemble those of embodied conditioned souls, are actually a show enacted by his illusory energy, just like the performance of an actor. After creating this universe, he enters into it, plays within it for some time, and at last winds it up. Then the Lord remains situated in his own transcendental glory, having ceased from the functions of cosmic manifestation. Purport. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the so-called fight among the members of the Yadu dynasty was actually a display of the pastime potency of the Lord, since Lord Krishna's personal associates are never subject to ordinary birth and death like conditioned souls. This being the case, certainly the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself is transcendental to material birth and death, as clearly stated in this verse. The word natasya, or of an actor or magician, is significant here. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur tells the following story of a certain magician who exhibits the trick of dying. In front of a great king, a magician approaches a stack of valuable garments, jewels, coins, and so forth, all placed there by the king. Taking a jeweled necklace, the magician tells the king, "Now I am taking this necklace, and you can't have it." And he makes the necklace disappear. "Now I am taking this gold coin, and you can't have it," he says, and makes the gold coin disappear. Next, challenging the king in the same way, the magician makes 7,000 horses disappear. Then the magician creates the illusion that the king's children, grandchildren, brothers, and other family members have attacked each other, and that nearly all are dead from the violent quarrel. The king hears the magician speaking, and at the same time observes these things taking place before him as he sits in the great assembly hall. Then the magician says, "O king, I no longer wish to live. Just as I have studied magic, so also by the mercy of the lotus feet of my guru, I have learned the mystic meditation of yoga. One is supposed to give up one's body while meditating in a holy place. And since you have performed so many pious activities, you are a holy place yourself. Therefore, I shall now give up my body." Thus speaking, the magician sits down in the proper yoga posture, fixes himself in pranayama, mat pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi, and becomes silent. A moment later, a fire generated from his trance blazes forth out of his body and burns it to ashes. Then all the wives of the magician, distraught with lamentation, enter into that fire. 3 or 4 days later, after the magician has returned to his own province, he sends one of his daughters to the king. The daughter tells him, "O king, I have just come to your palace, bringing along with me invisibly all your sons, grandsons, and brothers in good health, along with all the jewels, and other items given by you. Please, therefore, give me whatever you consider fitting remuneration for the wisdom of the magic that has been exhibited before you. In this way, even by ordinary magic, one can simulate birth and death. It is not difficult to understand, therefore, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although transcendental to the laws of nature, exhibits his illusory potency so that ordinary fools will think the Lord has left his body like a human being. Actually, Lord Krishna returned to his abode in his own eternal body, as confirmed throughout the Vedic literature. Text 12. Lord Krishna brought the son of his guru back from the planet of the Lord of Death in the boy's selfsame body, and as the ultimate giver of protection, he saved you also when you were burned by the Brahmastra of Ashwatthama. He conquered in battle even Lord Shiva, who deals death to the agents of death, and he sent the hunter Jara directly to Vaikuntha in his human body. How can such a personality be unable to protect his own self? Purport. To mitigate his own and Parikshit Maharaj's distress at the narration of Krishna's departure from this world, Sri Shukadev Goswami here gives several clear examples proving that Lord Krishna is far beyond the influence of death. Although the son of Lord Krishna's spiritual master, Sandipani Muni, had been taken by death, the Lord brought him back in his same body. Similarly, the power of Brahman cannot touch Lord Krishna, since Parikshit Maharaj, though burned by the Brahmastra weapon, was easily saved by the Lord. Lord Shiva was clearly defeated by Lord Krishna in the battle with Banasura, and the hunter Jara was sent to a Vaikuntha planet in his same human body. Death is an insignificant expansion of Lord Krishna's external potency and cannot possibly act upon the Lord himself. Those who actually understand the transcendental nature of Lord Krishna's activities will find convincing evidence in these examples. Text 13. Although Lord Krishna, being the possessor of infinite powers, is the only cause of the creation, maintenance, and destruction of innumerable living beings, he simply did not desire to keep his body in this world any longer. Thus he revealed the destination of those fixed in the self and demonstrated that this mortal world is of no intrinsic value. Purport. Although Lord Krishna descended to this world to save the fallen souls, he did not want to encourage people in the future to loiter here unnecessarily. I'll read this again. Although Lord Krishna descended to this world to save the fallen souls, he did not want to encourage people in the future to loiter here unnecessarily. In other words, as soon as possible, one should perfect one's Krishna consciousness and go back home, back to Godhead. If Lord Krishna had remained longer on the earth, he would have unnecessarily increased the prestige of the material world. As stated by Sri Uddhava in Srimad Bhagavatam 3.2.11, Adayantar adhad yastu sabimbam lokalochanam. Lord Sri Krishna, who manifested his eternal form before the vision of all on the earth, performed his disappearance by removing his form from the sight of those who were unable to see him as he is, due to not executing the required penance. Uddhava also states in the Bhagavatam 3.2.10, Devasya mayaya sprishta ye chanyad asadashritaha brahmyate dir Natud Natad Bhakyar Atmanyut Tatmano Haro. Under no circumstances can the words of persons bewildered by the illusory energy of the Lord deviate the intelligence of those who are completely surrendered souls. One who follows the Vaishnava authorities in his attempt to understand Lord Krishna's transcendental disappearance easily appreciates that the Lord is the omnipotent personality of Godhead and that his spiritual body is identical with his eternal spiritual potency. Text 14. Anyone who regularly rises early in the morning and carefully chants with devotion the glories of Lord Sri Krishna's transcendental disappearance and his return to his own abode will certainly achieve that same supreme destination. Text 15. As soon as Dwaraka reached Dwarka, he threw himself at the feet of Vasudeva and Ugrasena and drenched their feet with his tears, lamenting the loss of Lord Krishna. 16 and 17. Dwaraka delivered the account of the total destruction of the Vrishnis, and upon hearing this, O Parikshit, the people became deeply distraught in their hearts and stunned with sorrow. Feeling the overwhelming pain of separation from Krishna, they struck their own faces while hurrying to the place where their relatives lay dead. 18. When Devaki, Rohini, and Vasudeva could not find their sons, Krishna and Rama, they lost consciousness out of anguish. Purport. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the original Devaki, Rohini, and other ladies of Dwarka actually remained in Dwarka, invisible to the eyes of the material world, whereas the demigods who represented partial aspects of Devaki, Rohini, and so on, went to Prabhas to see their dead relatives. Text 19. Tormented by separation from the Lord, his parents gave up their lives at that very spot. My dear Parikshit, the wives of the Yadavas then climbed onto the funeral pyres, embracing their dead husbands. Text 20. The wives of Lord Balaram also entered the fire and embraced his body, and Vasudeva's wives entered the fire and embraced his body. The daughters-in-law of Lord Hari entered the funeral fires of their respective husbands, headed by Pradyumna, and Rukmini and the other wives of Lord Krishna, whose hearts were completely absorbed in him, entered his fire. Purport. It is understood that the anguished scene described here is a display of the Lord's illusory potency, adding a final dramatic note to Lord Krishna's pastimes on the earth. In reality, Lord Krishna returned to his eternal abode in his original body, and his eternal associates returned with him. This final heartbreaking scene of the Lord's pastimes is a creation of the Lord's internal potency that brings the Lord's manifest pastimes to a perfect, dramatic end. Text 21. Arjuna felt great distress over separation from Lord Krishna, his dearmost friend, but he consoled himself by remembering the transcendental words the Lord had sung to him. Purport. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, Arjuna remembered such verses from the Gita as Naham Prakashat Sarvasya Yogamaya Samavritaha Mudho Yam Nabijanati Lokomam Ajamapyayam. Bhagavad Gita 7:25. I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and inexhaustible. Similarly, Srila Jiva Goswami has mentioned the Gita verse, Mam ebaishyasya satyam te pratijane priyosi me, 1865. You will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. He has also quoted from the Svarga Parva of the Mahabharata as follows. Didarsha tatra govindam brahmane vabhushan vitam tenaiva drishtapurvena sadrishyeno pasuchitam dipyamanam svapusha divyar astraya upaskritam chakra prabharibir goraya prabritibir goraya divyai purushu vigrahahi upasyamanam virena palgunena chavarsha chasa yata sarupam konteya tataiva madhusudanam tau ubao purusha vyagrao samudbhikcha yudhishtiram yatarham pratipedate pujaya devapujitao. Then Yudhishthir saw Lord Govinda as the absolute truth in his original personal form. He appeared just as Yudhishthir had seen him before, with all the same characteristics. He was glowing brilliantly with the effulgence coming from his own body, and he was surrounded by his transcendental weapons, the disc and so on, which appeared in their fearsome, personified forms. O descendant of Kunti, Lord Madhusudana was being worshipped by the effulgent hero Arjuna, who also appeared in his original form. When these two lions among men, who are worshipable by the demigods, noticed the presence of Yudhishthir, they approached him with proper respect and offered him worship. Text 22. Arjuna then saw to it that the funeral rites were properly carried out for the dead who had no remaining male family members. He executed the required ceremonies for each of the Yadus, one after another. 23. As soon as Dwarka was abandoned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ocean flooded it on all sides, O King, sparing only his palace. Purport. Srila Jiva Goswami explains that whereas the external manifestation of the Lord's abode was covered by the ocean, the Lord's eternal Dwarka exists beyond the material universe and certainly beyond the material ocean. Dwarka had been constructed by Vishwakarma, the architect of the demigods, and the Sudharma assembly hall had been brought from heaven. In that city there were many beautiful and splendorous residences of the aristocratic Yadu dynasty, and the most beautiful residence of all was that of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Jiva Goswami mentions that even in the modern age, people who live near the site of the original Dwarka sometimes catch a glimpse of it in the ocean. Ultimately, the Lord's associates and abode are eternal, and one who understands this is qualified to become fully Krishna conscious. Text 24. Lord Madhusudana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is eternally present in Dwarka. It is the most auspicious of all auspicious places, and merely remembering it destroys all contamination. 25. Arjuna took the survivors of the Yadu dynasty, the women, children, and old men, to Indraprastha, where he installed Vajra as ruler of the Yadus. 26. Hearing from Arjuna of the death of their friend, my dear king, your grandfathers, established you as the maintainer of the dynasty and left to prepare for their departure from this world. 27. A person who with faith engages in chanting the glories of these various pastimes and incarnations of Vishnu, the Lord of Lords, will gain liberation from all sins. 28. The all-auspicious exploits of the all-attractive incarnations of Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and also the pastimes he performed as a child, are described in this Srimad Bhagavatam and in other scriptures. Anyone who clearly chants these descriptions of his pastimes will attain transcendental loving service unto Lord Krishna, who is the goal of all perfect sages. Thus end the purports of the humble servants of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to the 11th Canto, 31st chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Disappearance of Lord Sri Krishna. The 11th Canto was completed at the New Gokula South American pilgrimage site of São Paulo, Brazil, on Friday, March 26, 1982. End of the 11th Canto. Appendix. The Absolute Nature of the Supreme Lord. In his commentary on Text 5, Chapter 30, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes several statements by Sri Uddhava from the Srimad Bhagavatam 3:2, 7 through 12, that nicely explain the transcendental nature of the Lord Krishna's disappearance from this world. The reader is referred to that portion of Srila Prabhupada's Srimad Bhagavatam for further illumination on this subject. Next, from various Vedic scriptures, Vishwanath Chakrabarti cites many important verses that clearly establish the absolute, eternal nature of the personality of Godhead's forms, names, abodes, qualities, pastimes, and entourage. Forms. The Gopal Tapani Upanishad 138 states, Govindam Sachit Ananda Vigraham Vrindavana Surabhur Hurukatalasinam Satatam Sa Marudgano Ham Paramaya Stutya Toshayami. With transcendental prayers, I and the Maruts are always trying to satisfy Lord Govinda, whose personal form is eternal and full of knowledge and bliss, and who is sitting amidst the celestial desire trees of Vrindavan. Similarly, in the Vedanta Bhashya, Srila Madhvacharya cites the following passage from the Shruti: Vasudevak Sankarshanak Prajumno Niruddho Ham Matsya Kurmo Varaho Narashingo Vamano Ramho Rama Krishno Buddha Kalkir Aham Shatadaham Sahasradhanam Amitoham Anantoham Naivaite Jayante Naivaite Mriyante Naisham Agyana Bando Namukti Sarva Eva Yete Purna Ajara Amrita Parama Paramananda Paramanandaha. I am Vasudev, Sankarshan, Prajumna, and Aniruddha. I am Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narashinga, Vamana, the three Ramas, Ramachandra, Parashurama, and Balarama, Krishna, Buddha, and Kalki. Immeasurable and unlimited, I appear in hundreds and thousands of forms, none of which ever takes birth or dies. These forms of mine are not bound by ignorance, nor do they have to strive for liberation. They are all complete, free from old age, immortal, supreme, and supremely blissful. The Dhyana Bindu Upanishad states Nirdosha Purna Guna Vigraha Atmatantro Nishche Tanatmika Sharira Gunaischa Hinaha Anandamatra Mukapada Sarura Saroruhadihi. The Lord's personal form possesses complete and faultless transcendental qualities. Indeed, the form of the completely independent Lord is free from all lifeless bodily characteristics. His lotus face and his lotus feet consist simply of pure ecstasy. The Vasudeva Upanishad states, Sadrupam Advayam Brahmamadhyadhyanta Vibharjitam Swaprabham Sachidanandam Bhaktya Janati Chavyayam. The Lord's transcendental form is the absolute truth, devoid of duality or of middle, beginning, or end. It is self-effulgent, eternal, and full of knowledge and bliss. Only through devotional service can one understand that form to be infallible. The Brahmananda Purana states, Nanda Braja Nanan Jananandi Sachid Ananda Vigraha. The body of the Lord, who gives ecstasy to the residents of King Nanda's pastures, is eternal and full of knowledge and bliss. The Varaha Purana states, Sarve Nityat Shashvatas Chadehas Tasya Paratmanaha Hano Pradana Rahita Naiva Prakriti Jat Kvachit. The bodies of that Supreme Lord are all eternal and primeval. Since they are not born of material nature, they are not subject to destruction or creation. The Nrsimha Purana states, Yuge Yuge Vishnu Anadi Murtim Astaya Shishtam Paripati Dushtaha. In each age, Lord Vishnu assumes his various eternal forms in order to protect those who are civilized, the devotees, and to destroy those who are evil, the demons. The Brihad Vaishnava Smriti states, Yo veti bhautikam deham krishnasya paramatmanaha sasarvasmad bahishkaryak shauta smarta bidanaha mukam tasyavalokyapi chachelam sachelam stanam acharet. If a person thinks the body of the Supreme Soul, Lord Krishna, is made of matter, he should be excluded from all ceremonies, both of the Shruti and the Smriti. One who even glances upon such a person's face must immediately take a bath with all his clothes on. The Mahabharata states, Nabhuta Sangha Sangstano Dehosya Paramatmanaha. The body of the Supreme Soul is not composed of a combination of material elements. Also, from the Mahabharata, Amritangsho Mrito Vapu. His personal expansions and personal bodies are all immortal. The Srimad Bhagavatam itself contains many passages attesting to the absolute nature of the Lord's forms. Here are a few. Shabdam Brahmadadad Vapu, appearing in your transcendental form as the Vedas and as the personal feature of the Absolute Truth. Yat tad vapur bhati vibhushanad yudaya avyakta chidvyaktam adara yad vibhu. 8:18-12. That transcendental body, which is appearing with its ornaments and weapons, has been assumed by the Almighty Lord as the spiritual manifestation of Himself, who is materially unmanifested. Babanda Prakritam Yata 9:10-9:14. She bound him up just like an ordinary child. Satya Jnanantananda Matraika Rasamurtyaha 10:13-54. The Vishnumurtis all had eternal, unlimited forms, full of knowledge and bliss, and existing beyond the influence of time. Swechcha mayasya na tu bhuta mayasya. 10.14.2. His body is composed of his own desire, rather than of material elements. And Tvai eva nitya sukha bodha tanao. In you, whose body is full of eternal happiness and consciousness. That was just the forms. Now we go to the names. The Rig Veda states, Om asya jananto nama chit vibhiktan. If we understand even a little of the glories of his holy name. The Bhagavatam 10.8.15 contains the following passage, Bahune santinam nami rupani cha sutasyate guna karma nurupani. For this son of yours, there are many forms and names according to his transcendental qualities. That this passage is in the present tense indicates that the Lord's names are absolute and eternal. The Padma Purana states, Yat tu anama rupam evayam bhagavan harir ishwaraha akarteti chayo vedai smritibish chabidiyate. It is the personality of Godhead, Lord Hari, whom the Vedas and Smritis describe as that which has no name or form and which does nothing. The Vasudeva Dhyatma reconciles the apparent contradiction thus raised. Aprasides tad gunanam anamosau prakirtitaha aprakritotvad rupasyapyarupo sao adiryate sambandena pradhanasya harir nastyeva kartata akartadam atak prahu puranam tam puravidaha. Because his qualities are generally unknown, he is said to have no name. Because his form is not material, he is said to be formless. And because Lord Hari does nothing in relationship with the material nature, he is said to be inactive. And next we come to his abodes. The Gopal Tapani Upanishad 236 states, Tasang Madhye Sakshad Brahma Gopala Puri. Among all these abodes, the residence of Lord Gopala is directly the absolute truth. And the Padma Purana states, Nityam me maturam vidi purim dvaravatim tata. You should know that my cities of Mathura and Dwarka are both eternal. An alternate reading for this verse is Nityam me paturam vidi vanam vrindavanam tata. Vrindavanam tata. In which case, the translation is, you should know that both my Mathura and my forest of Vrindavan are eternal. Qualities. The Bhagavatam 1:16-29 states, Eti chanye cha bhagavan nitya yatra mahagunaha prartya mahatmam ichchadbir na viyanti smakarichit. In him reside these and many other transcendental qualities which are eternally present and never to be separated from him. Pastimes. The Purusha Bodhini Upanishad of the Pipalada Shaka of the Atharva Veda states, Eko Devo Nitya Lilanurakto Bhakta Bhyapi Bhakta Ridyantaratma. He is the one Supreme Lord, always attached to his eternal pastimes, extending himself to his devotees, and present as the Supreme Soul within the hearts of his devotees. In the Bhagavatam 10:90-48, we find the verse beginning, Jayati Jananivasa, which contains the phrase, Dorbir Asyan Adharmam, with his arms casting out irreligion. The same verse also states, Vajrapurda Vanitanam Vardayan Kamadevam, increasing the lusty desires of the young women of Vrindavan village. The Bhagavatam 10:29-15 states, Kama Krodam Mayam Sneham Aikyam Sauridam Eva Va Nityam Harao Vidato Yanti Tan Mayatam Hite Tan Mayatang Hite. Persons who constantly direct their lust, anger, fear, protective affection, feeling of impersonal oneness, or friendship toward Lord Hari are sure to become absorbed in thought of Him. That all these passages employ the present tense indicates that the Lord is eternally enacting His pastimes. Entourage. The Padma Purana states, Eta hi yadavak sarve madgana eva bhavini sarvata madpriya devi madtulyo ganashalinaha. My dear lady, all these Yadavas are my personal associates. They are in all respects very dear to me, O Goddess, and their characters are equal to mine. To summarize, we may cite the following verse from the Vedic literature, Nityau avatare Bhagavan Nitya Murtir Jagatpati Nitya Rupo Nitya Gando Nityaishvarya Sukhanubuhu. In His eternal incarnation, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Master of the universe, exhibits His eternal personal form. His bodily beauty, His fragrance, His opulence, and His happiness are also eternal. That ends the 11th canto. Shri Krishna ki jai, Durga Gita ki jai. Whoa. And all the other wonderful pastimes, the 11th canto, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Well, that did it. 8:02 in the nose. 1 hour, exactly. Okay, we're going to stop reading now. I'm lucky I got that far with the voice. But here we are. Any points that came out from that incredible last chapter of the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam and the appendix that followed it? Please, let us have it. Yes, Radharaman. You're always the first because you're right here in front of us.
It's kind of a reflection. I was just thinking how nice it was that part at the beginning of the 11th canto where there was explanations given of the actual explanation given of Krishna's so-called disappearance, and there was one thing that particularly came to mind, that just like a magician performing many magic tricks, and like that, and I thought it was a really nice counter to any kind of materialistic consciousness, either on my own account or perhaps non-devotees who get confused about why Krishna disappears the way he did.
Yeah.
And it's just so beautifully explained.
Yeah. Actually, our acharyas make clear that Krishna appeared to go like that on purpose, just so those who are atheistic will have a little bone to chew on. Because, when Krishna says that he Yayatam mam prapadyante tongues tataiva bhajamiham mamabart manumartante manusha sarvaja. He's actually, everyone's following his path, but very few actually know that they are. So, and the other one is the apoanamcha verse in the 15th chapter of the Gita, where he says that I am forgetfulness. So he does these things to allow the atheists something to, speculate upon. Because they're so desirous of doing that. So Krishna fulfills that desire also, and he does it through his own disappearance. It's inconceivable, but that's the fact. I was intrigued by that long description about how this magician did this, and he said, now I'm taking this and you can't have, to the king. He's performing for the king, and then he's taking another thing, and now you can't have this, and then he says, now your relatives are all gone, you can't have them, and then now I'm going also, poof, and he appears to go, and then later on he's still back in the village. There are magicians who can do that kind of thing, by great austerity and penance and in ignorance. It's all in ignorance. They can fool people into thinking they see something. In the modern magicians, they just have mirrors and different ways of making it look to the audience like they're doing something, when it's either sleight of hand, or they make them look another way and they do another thing on the other hand, or they just bewilder them by the sound. He bewildered the whole world. The whole material world is his magic, bewildering all of us into thinking that we are this body, that we are this mind. Yes, Abhaya.
This is from online.
We have some cyberspace personalities out there in cyberspace.
Hannah Gill says, Hare Krishna, dear Srila Gurudev.
Hare Krishna, Bhaktin Hannah.
Please accept my humble obeisances. I'm really appreciating how expert the writers of this 11th canto are. They are very learned in Srila Prabhupada's books.
Yes.
And Sarva from Houston says, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Sarva. Sarva is a man of few words, but those words are most meaningful. Hare Krishna, the most meaningful words. So, okay, we used up our hour's time efficiently and productively. We didn't waste any time during this time. We never waste any time when we're hearing and chanting the Bhagavatam together. I remember one time I went with Ananteshwar to apply for a physical copy of my Social Security card for some reason. Oh yeah, I wanted to get an ID card in Texas or whatever it was. And we sat down and there was a huge, long line, and we thought it was going to take, and Ananteshwar was calculating on his watch how long it took for each number, because we picked a number, you've got to pick a number and then sit in this big room with about 100 people. And anyway, he was calculating on his watch how long it was going to take us. And then he calculated it would take us 6 hours. And the place was going to close in 2 hours. So we started trying to make other alternative ways of doing this. And the first one that came into our minds was, let's do it online. So then, just as we decided that, all of a sudden, it started going faster. I mean, really faster. Like one after the other after the other. It was mystical. It really was mystical. And Antashwar was like, what's going on here? I looked at his watch. And he says, now Maharaj, we should be able to go. And then my number was called. So I went in to they have a little booth, kind of booths built into the wall. And I went there and she looked at me and she said, oh, the last time you were in to see us was in 1964. And I said, well, that sounds about right. I said, I don't remember when I lost the physical card, but I think I might need it, so I just thought I'd get it. He said, it's a good thing you came physically, because you've been away for so long, you couldn't have done it online. I don't even remember if that's the point I was going to make, but anyway, yeah. Krishna works in amazing ways. Magician, the supreme magician.
Something from Rati Manjari.
Hey Rati.
She says,
welcome back.
She says, Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Tonight we heard about Lord Krishna in his Dwarka pastimes. I was wondering if it is appropriate to, when we look at Lord Jagannath, see him as Dwarkanath, together with Balaram, or is that inappropriate?
It's not a matter of appropriate or inappropriate, Rati. That is according to our bhava, or our realization, or our faith. You don't make a rule. Is it okay for me to see Krishna like that, or like this, or like that, Of course, we don't want to imitate either, trying to be more advanced than we are, but still, even in neophyte stages, therefore it says, I just can't remember the line of the Sanskrit that anyway, there's no hard and fast rules for chanting the holy names of the Lord. And so there are not hard and fast rules. Each one of us is an individual soul. Each one of us has an eternal relationship with Krishna, just like he was talking about his eternal associates. They all had their eternal relationship with Krishna, and they all just went back with Krishna. As soon as Krishna left, they just all left also, in different ways. Some just jumped into fire, some just went into the ground, some just followed, back to Indraprastha and Yudhishthira. When he found out, okay, that's it, he's gone, I'm going. So he just put down his crown and all his things that he had worked so hard to get, and just walked into the Himalayas and left. So there's these kind of things. Is it appropriate? Well, if you're not advanced enough to think like that, then maybe better not think like that. On the other hand, if you look at Lord Jagannath and you want to see him as Dwarkanath, why not? I mean, Prabhupada named the Dili deities, Radha and Krishna deities, as Radha Parthasarthi. And one time when they were traveling, he and Tejas and somebody else, they were traveling around before we had anyway, we were traveling around, and one of his godbrothers questioned him. How could Prabhupada name deities Radha Parthasarthi? So the devotee went back to Prabhupada and said, how could, they said like this, how could you, isn't this rasa vasa? And Prabhupada looked and he said, do you think that Krishna stops thinking about Radharani for a moment? At any time? And he shut up. There are, in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, there's at the end of the first part, when Krishna is there in the bed with Rukmini, and Narada comes and they start this big conversation, and there develops a controversy about why doesn't he go back to Braj and all these things. And finally, and when they start the argument, after Krishna comes out, and they start arguing, and Krishna admits, yes, I have heart of diamond, hard like a diamond, because otherwise, why don't I go back? And all these things. And then they start to argue further, and Rukmini said, why just during the night during the day things like that? No. She said, he's thinking about the Brajbasis all the time. I know, because at night he sometimes wakes up and he calls me Radha. And in Satyabhama or somebody say, why in the daytime, just in the daytime, at night, in daytime he's thinking like that. They made New Vrindavan, which is a place constructed by Vishwakarma, made it look just like Vrindavan, right next to Dwarka, because Krishna was feeling so much separation from the Brajbasis that they thought he needed a place to go and meditate on them. So, but the problem was when he went there, he would feel so much separation, he stopped going there. So, anyway, all these things are on a very high level of bhava, of love for Krishna, and we might not want to imitate those things, but at the same time, even in our innocence, if we look at Lord Jagannath, we want to think of Dwarka and Lord Balaram in Dwarka. I'm sure that a thunderbolt is not going to come and hit your head if you think like that. It's just the opposite. We don't want to make things up, but it's not making things up to see Krishna, if you want to see him in Dwarka as Jagannath. It's very clear in Chaitanya Charitamrita that, the goddess of fortune comes out. That's what Dolayatra is. The Dolayatra, the ceremony where, during the Rath Yatra week of ceremonies, Rukmini first of all, Krishna comes out with Balaram and Subhadra, and they go to Gundicha, which represents Vrindavan. And then after a while, the goddess of fortune, who's in the temple, the Puri temple, which represents Dwarka, gets upset and comes out with her army and arrests all of Krishna's servants and brings Krishna back by the ear, kind of. I don't know if it's like that, but and so, or again, at the end of Brihat Bhagavatamrita, first part, when Narada Muni, who felt very guilty, because he was the one who got this whole controversy started, to find out who was the best devotee, and so finally at the end, Krishna invites him for dinner, and Narada comes and he says, okay, so I went all this way and I talked to all these devotees to try to find out who's the best one, and you seem to indicate the gopis were, but can I hear it right from your mouth? Who is the best? And then Krishna looks at him and says, my dear Narada, don't you understand? All of them are. Every single one that you met is capable of delivering the whole universe. They're all the best devotees. They're all the greatest devotees of mine. Which makes the point in a very graphic and very emotional way. It's not that there might be something wrong to think about Krishna and Dwarka, because we're supposed to be gopis or coward, or Lord Chaitanya's movement is to take us to Goloka Vrindavan, and therefore we can't think of these other places. This is all contamination, actually. When the gopis and Krishna are ranging through the forest enjoying, sometimes the gopis will ask Krishna to tell them the stories of Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, Vamanadev, and all these different pastimes. So to think that once I reach Goloka Vrindavan, then I won't be able to think of anything else but Radha and Krishna, it's just not true. It's there in the Shastra. So keep hearing again and again and again and again, and practice having the right mood, and all these things will be revealed to us when we're ready.
Rati says thank you for clarifying that. And she has another small technical question.
Rati, she's going to do it again. She's going to ask me a technical question.
It was about yesterday's reading. It was mentioned that the demigods accept the offerings to them through their deity forms. Does that mean that the demigods also have the ability to expand themselves unlimitedly, just like Krishna?
The demigods don't have the ability to expand themselves unlimitedly like Krishna. No one does. How can the demigods expand themselves unlimitedly when they're limited? The demigods are jiva souls. They're limited. That's the science. However, it's a fact that if you attain your original form in the spiritual world, then you may go with Krishna different places that he goes. You may expand yourself into many forms. But the demigods, no, they can't expand themselves unlimitedly, and neither can any other soul except for Krishna. But they can expand themselves, the eternal residents of the eternal associates of Krishna can expand themselves to go with Krishna, in a little different form, in a little different mood, to match his mood and his form wherever he goes. Tulsi Devi, Vrinda Devi, came to Krishna. She was serving prasad, and she asked him, I want to go wherever you go. And Krishna thought for a second. He said, that's a big desire, because I go a lot of places. But to speak of my deity form, how many deity forms are there of Krishna in the universe? So he said, all right, then you can take birth as Tulsi Devi, because wherever my form is, there's Tulsi leaves and manjaris necessary. They must be there, so you can go and be wherever I go.
Rati Manjari says, but can they expand themselves in their deity forms? Sorry, I'm dragging it down to demigod level.
Expand themselves in their deity? What are you talking about? In other words, can the demigods expand their forms into the deity forms on the earth? Is that what she's asking? This is a shiny object. You're chasing after a shiny object. Don't chase after shining objects. This will make no difference in whether or not you advance in Krishna consciousness or not, whether you know the demigods or you're trying to equate the demigods in a sense. In your mind you're equating them maybe because they can come and be in different deities like Krishna. But they're not, that doesn't make them equal to Krishna even if he could do that.
Yeah, she says, it's not that I want to worship demigods, but I'm just wondering how the system of Devamurti Puja works. How do they receive their offerings?
You don't know how they receive their offerings? They receive their offerings by what's offered into the fire, and the prayers they eat those things. They subsist on those things. They don't eat in the same way that we eat. They subsist on those things, on the prayers and the things that are offered, and the devotion that they're offered. Deva Devyano Devam Devayato Deva Te Deva Bhavyantava. No. Yeah, Parasparam Devyant. There's a verse in the Gita, I can't remember exactly the Sanskrit. Devan Devyatan Deva devayantu, parasparam devayan. It means there's a cooperation between the demigods and the human beings who are offering sacrifice. The demigods used to come to the earth when there used to be regular sacrifices, but when the sacrifices stopped, the proper sacrifices stopped, then they stopped coming. And, I don't know that. So if I pretend that I do and go on ranting, I'll make some offense to somebody. I don't know. I've been told by Gopi Puranadana Prabhu and by Prabhupada in his purports that the demigods subsist on the sacrifices. I don't know mechanically how that works. Pragmatically how that works, I don't know. But I do know that they subsist on the sacrifices that are offered by the brahmanas. That's as much as I know.
Hannah had another question. She said, was it not possible for their physical bodies to make a show of leaving this material world, rather than going into fire like wives and relatives did then?
Sure, they could have, but they didn't. That's the way Krishna planned it. That's the way he wanted to do it. Everything that happens in Krishna's pastimes is happening by his own sweet will. And that's the purpose of all those verses that we just heard. If you remember, Krishna can do anything. He's beyond the modes of nature. He doesn't have to conform to the laws of nature. He also has a sense of humor. Mother Yashoda wanted to tie him up, so she got a rope and it was short, two fingers. And she got another rope and it was still short, 2 fingers. It's not that he was wrapping it around and around and around and then it came out 2 fingers short. It came out 2 fingers short, means it wouldn't wrap. And she went and got all the ropes from all over the village. Who knows how long that rope was. And still she wrapped it around and it was too short. Because Krishna, there is no inside and outside of Krishna. You can read in the 10th canto, the 10th chapter of the Gita, he's no inside, no middle, no end. No beginning, no middle, no end, no inside, no outside of Krishna. He doesn't have a form like ours. He can do anything, and the demigods are, expansions of Krishna in a sense, empowered expansions, but they don't have all the potency of Krishna because they're jiva souls. Anyway, I'm just rambling now. These questions are, I don't know if anybody has the answers to those kinds of questions.
There's a nice question by Doug.
Bhakta Doug, hey, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Saved by the Doug.
All glories to the great transcendental actor, Sri Krishna.
Yeah.
Amazing that his pastimes on earth conclude in such a seemingly tragic way. Yet he and his associates are always experiencing ecstatic bliss.
Yes.
Would this be considered an exhibition of the ghastly rasa? Similarly amazing is the purpose behind the shocking scene. We heard that Lord Krishna doesn't want us to loiter here in the material world
good.
unnecessarily.
Very good. That's brilliant. Thank you. Nice realization. That's not a question, that's a realization. Krishna can give realizations to anybody. Very nice. So all these things may be knowable or not knowable, but it really doesn't make any difference in the end, because what Krishna wants us to do is to have full faith in Him, and He wants us to develop separation from Him. So if we have questions that tend to make confusion or relativize His position, or make the demigods less or more than they are, or whatever, then those questions, maybe they're answerable by someone, but you got to keep on answering, keep on asking. But generally speaking, those questions, they're unending. And even if we did, have the pragmatic answer, this is the reason, you'll see the acharyas will have different opinions about different things. One acharya had an opinion about why Krishna closed his eyes when Putana was there, and another one had a different opinion, and none of them are wrong. Vasudevam Savamiti Samahatma Sadurlabhaha. Krishna is everything and everyone. He's doing everything. But the only way we can actually see that is by pure devotional service. And the intricacies and laws of nature and how they're working, you can go on and on and on and on. Who was I in my last life? How did I come in the beginning? All these, they're like shining objects to take us away from the lotus feet of Krishna and just surrender to Krishna. And He'll give you what you need, and what you don't need, He won't. One time in New York, there was this one smart aleck journalist, and you could see that he was trying to wind Prabhupada up. I'm not saying that you're trying to wind me up, Rati or Hannah. I know that you're very sincere and your questions are very sincere. I'm just trying to put it in a little frame of reference. So he said, "So, Swamiji, you are the guru?" And Prabhupada said, "Yes." And he could see where this was going, And then he said, "So, that means you know everything?" Prabhupada said, "Yes." And then he said, "How many windows are on the Empire State Building?" They looked at him like, "Gotcha." Yeah, he asked a gotcha question. So Prabhupada didn't skip a beat. He didn't hesitate. He said, "How many drops of water are there in a mirage?" And all the devotees just went crazy, and the person was just embarrassed. How many drops of water are there in a mirage?
Anna says thank you. And Rati Manjari says thank you for your patience with this blinded mole.
You're not a blinded mole. You're a great soul. You're a great devotee, Rati. Keep asking, and you shall. Knock, and you shall receive. The door will open. Anyway, pretty far out. Pastimes, pretty far out reading. All those evidences from the different scriptures describing different aspects of Krishna's form and pastimes and entourage and name. He's unlimited. There's no way that we can understand everything about Krishna. Even Krishna doesn't understand everything about Krishna. Prabhupada told us. Because he may understand it for a moment and then his glories increase. we just hear them and we become more and more amazed at them. After we get our questions, when we satisfy all ourselves in all these kinds of questions, and then we just become amazed, and we become more amazed and more amazed, and at some point Krishna says, okay, and there I am. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavanyas chasmitat pataha. To know him in truth, you have to be pure in devotion service. That's the only way to get knowledge of Krishna's form and be able to understand. But all of us will be able to understand as much as we can. Not everyone will be able to understand the same. There's no mathematical formula of how many qualities there are in Krishna. They're unlimited. So we should be satisfied. That's the point I'm making. I guess in principle, the point I'm making is that we should be satisfied, with what we do have and what we can understand about Krishna. The Bhagavatam gives us as much as we can understand, as much as we can digest in a lifetime, many lifetimes. So keep hearing these books, sincerely, keep trying to understand, ask these questions. Forgive me if I don't have an answer sometimes. I'm not Krishna. I'm just a little jiva, speck in the universe, just trying to repeat what I've heard from Srila Prabhupada, who knows a heck of a lot more than we do. But all the knowledge will be revealed to us if our devotional service is done constantly with love. Tesham sadati yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam tadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. And then I was looking the other day for this verse. I was looking for the question that Devahuti asked to Kapila Dev. And I looked in the maybe I said this the other night already. Anyway, I looked at the 25th chapter, and I saw that there was a series of questions that she asked before Kapila Dev started his instructions on Sankhya. But it wasn't the same question I was looking for. I thought, where is this? So I kept scrolling down, and finally I got to it in the 27th chapter. And she said, how the relationship between Krishna and his energies, they're all eternal and they're mixed together. So how can we possibly separate ourselves out in the consciousness, the intelligence, and how these things how can I get that understanding? And then Kapila Dev said, you have to hear very seriously from the right source for a very long time. And I thought that was just great, because it's not by some academic analysis. That's not the way to get Krishna. There's an academic approach of analytic knowledge, and to a certain extent the Sankhya philosophy is like that. And there are descriptions of all the rasas and done in a very scientific way. You can read about it in some very high rasa shastras. But Prabhupada taught us just to hear and keep hearing the Bhagavatam and its purports again and again, and everything will be revealed to us by that process. And with that, oh my gosh, it's 20 minutes to 9. Okay, thank you very much, all of you, especially Rati and Hannah, for asking these fantastic questions that got me going. Hare Krishna. I hope that I didn't disappoint anybody, or that nobody's disappointed because you can't know everything. in a certain way about Krishna, he has to reveal, he has to choose us. I think I chanted that verse yesterday, was it? The day before? Get the book out again. I'll end with this book. I mean with this verse. Anena. Yeah, Nayam. Nayam Atma Prabhachanena Labhyo Namedasa Na Bahuna Shutena Yam Evaisha Vrinute Tena Labhyas Tasyaisha Atma Vivrinute Tanum Swam. The Supreme Lord is not obtained by expert explanations, by vast intelligence, or even by much hearing. He is obtained only by one whom he himself chooses. To such a person, he manifests his own form. Mundak Upanishad 3.2.3. And I'll leave you with that to meditate on until tomorrow night, when we meet again. Tomorrow night is? Thursday, yes. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Samabeda Bhakta Brinda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. See you tomorrow night as we keep on going, trying to understand Krishna, who's impossible to understand. See you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.